Welcome back inside our continuing coverage of the fall forecast. I'm Marta Czurylowicz alongside Marta Czurylowicz, and we're going to take a look now at our precipitation outlook for our fall forecast. And bookending the country, the two coasts with above normal precipitation, also some of that through central Ontario as well.
And here's why. We have two clashing air masses, as you mentioned, where things will happen.
This is sort of more of a battleground area. Those air masses will compete with each other and create some varying weather patterns in that area through parts of Ontario and Quebec. Let's take a focus here. Similar to, this is higher than normal amounts of precipitation
amounts. And let's take a look at some of the old footage we have of the storms that were passing through. I mean, this is a complete whiteout in Ontario.
Dad had to chisel off parts of the driveway to get the car out. And we're going to talk about how winter, or December rather, can be such a wild card in our winter pattern. These are two pictures, 1 year apart.
This is you.
This is me.
Yeah, let's make
1
that
year.
clear.
Yeah, you can't see. We're into double digits on the positive side.
Was 17 degrees,
like
I believe
15, 7 degrees, something like that. So that's how sort of volatile December can be.
It's a wild card.
Exactly.
So in the same vein, that was December. You were in Ontario. I was in Winnipeg, and that is me ice fishing. I did not catch that fish, though. I'm not going to take credit for it. But yeah, it was very cold out there. Yeah, and then my puppy here, this is Leo, and that's his first winter. So he's getting a taste of some snow, and he doesn't understand kind of what's happening there.
So a lot of people don't realize that winter doesn't actually officially start until late December. So we want those winter conditions for Christmas, but our winter pattern not expected to arrive until January this year. And so just remember that December, a little bit of a wild card. We're not sure which way it's going to go.
I'm Marta Czurylowicz, joined now by meteorologist Tyler Hamilton, and we're talking about the fall forecast today, and we're looking at the temperature patterns across the country. What can we expect?
Well, there's a bit of a unique angle here. You look at Western Canada, and we've really painted the entire map red for the province of British Columbia and Alberta, and a lot of that has to do with the temperature conditions in the northern Pacific. And guess what? After a brief hiatus in 2018, they're back, and this blob is bigger than ever.
The blob is back?
The blob is back, and there it is. We've never seen levels 2 degrees above normal for 2019. Those are current conditions. The previous blobs are no match. So that is going to really moderate a lot of the temperatures in the Pacific Northwest. There it is. It doesn't really have that blob-like structure you were talking about, Marta.
I was going to say, it looks more like a dispersed blob.
Dispersed blob at this point, but that is really playing into our forecast because we had this ridge really anchored right over Anchorage and northern Alaska, also drive that upper level ridge.
Right, and there was some above normal temperatures up through those areas as well. You mentioned Anchorage a little bit earlier.
Yeah, they had record-breaking heat, and now we've quickly jumped into the fall storm season along coastal British Columbia. We've already hit our September rainfall totals, and we're only about halfway through the month, Marta.
Right, there was the past couple days that have been just wet, but is that out of the ordinary for this time of year?
Well, Vancouver, yes, for September you get about 50 millimeters of rain, and we've hit those benchmarks, but this year, wetter than normal, that's a big jump because you look at October and November for Vancouver anyway, you push almost 200 millimeters of rain in November. But that's not like 2006, the infamous year where parts of Vancouver and Vancouver Island saw nearly 500 millimeters of rainfall.
So November is typically a wetter part of the year for them.
Absolutely, and it's just alluding to the fact we're going to have a very active storm track and those warmer waters really driving the pattern for much of Western Canada at this point.
Okay, but through the prairies, there's some of that late summer heat pumping through.
We look at this pattern and it's a bit of a reversal right now, what we have on our seasonal forecast, but that's really the point. The forecast is just a sketch. We're going to see some of these patterns lock into play, and these temperatures into southern Manitoba on Tuesday, the feels like pushes into the 30s, and even base temperatures into the 30s as well.
Right, and then the risk sort of expanded throughout Tuesday night. Lots of rainfall and heavy rainfall rather.
Overnight until Wednesday, those storms are going to be late to fire.
All right, and it's primarily that heavy rainfall, or what else can we see with these storms? Small hail?
Small hail and damaging winds.
Welcome to our continuing coverage of our fall forecast. And Marta, it's kind of appropriate that we're doing the fall forecast today because British Columbia is seeing some fall-like weather the last week with increased amounts of rain. Today, Monday, a little bit of a reprieve, but the next low is coming in. It's going to bring widespread rain to the region once again.
And in contrast, in the prairies, there's some warmer temperatures. Saskatchewan saw some of that heat today, but tomorrow it's going to be in through Winnipeg and southern parts of Manitoba.
Yeah, and with those humidex values, that's kind of the key here. Winnipeg might be as high as feeling like 37. So a return of summer-like conditions for the kickoff of our fall forecast.
Yeah, and then in Ontario, well, there's a ridge protecting you there. So the wetness is going to be in through the northwestern part of the province.
Yes, but the high pressure means nice conditions throughout the week for many of those in Ontario. As we take a look at a bit of our temperature map here for the fall forecast, as we mentioned, and we can see below normal temperatures to the north here and out on the west coast. They're going to have above normal temperatures as well.
Yeah, so that temperature contrast a little bit cooler in central Canada as well.
Now we do have warmer waters in the North Pacific. That's part of the dominant pattern that we're looking at through this forecast, and we did see some warmer temperatures in Alaska this summer as well.
Yeah, and speaking about the West, well, it's fall, and here are some fall hiking tips. Mia Gordon has more. I'm Marta Czurylowicz for the Weather Network. Our fall forecast coverage continues. We'll be joined by our meteorologists Nadine and Tyler a little bit later in the show, and they'll be telling us what's happening in the tropics. But first, let's take a look at Ontario and the precipitation forecast. 22 degrees, and then the GTA in through Wednesday. The temperatures are climbing. You can see that 22 degrees again in Toronto, and this ridge is building, pumping in that heat, and there's going to be a taste of that late summer heat a little bit later in the week. And now, let's go to Tyler and Nadine.